What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out the latest and greatest robot vacuum from Narwal. What we have here today, it's called the Narwal Flow, and this is the first robot vacuum from Narwal that brings us a totally new mopping system. This is called the Narwal Flow Wash mopping system, and this is totally redesigned compared to the old mopping system that we used to see for other Narwal vacuums in the past. So now we have one massive mop at the bottom here, and this one does things very differently. So basically every time this turns, this gets cleaned inside the robot vacuum here. So all the dirt from the floor will actually get stuck inside the robot vacuum. So inside the robot vacuum here we have two water tanks, one for clean water and one for dirty water. So every time this spins, all the dirty water, so all the dirt from the mop stays inside the robot vacuum. Therefore your floors are gonna be much cleaner with this mopping system that we have on this robot vacuum. If we remove our mop here, this is fairly easy to remove. As well, you're gonna notice that here we have 16 holes. So that's how the mop gets constantly wet and evenly wet as well. So all these 16 holes spray water on the mop, and that's also warm water. If I remember correctly, it's 113 degrees Fahrenheit warm water. So of course that's gonna help to dissolve stains that you may have on the floor and basically lift up any dirt that you have on the floor, because warm water of course will do much better than cold water. So as this spins, because this kind of gets scraped inside the robot vacuum here on this side here, all the dirt from the mop actually stays inside that dirty water tank that we have inside the robot vacuum. And whenever the robot vacuum goes to its docking station, it will empty all that dirty water that it keeps inside. And if you actually look at that dirty water tank that we have inside the docking station, you will see how dirty that water is. You won't believe how much dirt there is on your floors. The mop also applies 12 newtons of pressure onto the floor. So imagine someone pushing on the floor with pressure. That's exactly what this mop here does. So whenever it goes over a stain or anything like that, because we get that hot water, we get the mop that constantly cleans itself, and that pressure of course is going to be able to clean any stains on the first run. So no more stubborn stains on your floor, because they're all going to be cleaned by this. The mop is also able to extend out of the vacuum's body, so this way it's going to be able to reach the edges of the walls, the corners, around the legs of chairs or anything that you may have at home. So with this mopping system, you're not going to miss any places in the house. So it's going to be able to reach any spot on your floors. So everything is going to be extra clean because of that hot water and the fact that this puts a lot of pressure onto the floor and it gets cleaned every time it turns. So the mopping experience that you're going to get from this vacuum is definitely a big improvement compared to the two spinning brushes that we used to have for the previous vacuums from Narwal. And before we go any further, I also want to mention that this video is sponsored by Narwal. Now, in the past, we've seen many Narwal robots that are doing really well for obstacle avoidance. Well, this still applies to the Narwal Flow here. So the Narwal Flow, it's still using the same twin AI dodge obstacle avoidance system that we've seen for other Narwal vacuums in the past. So we basically have two RGB cameras on the front here, and the way the two cameras see the world around the vacuum is very similar to what a human eye sees. So this can avoid very small objects as well. If you leave a cable on the floor, if you leave small toys or anything that you may leave on the floor, this can avoid and basically go all around those objects. This one does better than most other robot vacuums that I tried in the past, because it gets really close to those objects but without touching them. Depending on what you have on the floor, it's also gonna stop one of these side brushes from touching whatever obstacle there may be on the floor. So for example, if you leave a cable, I don't know, from your phone or something, this will kind of go around the cable but still clean very close to the cable as well. So very important, because a lot of vacuums basically get stuck on a lot of objects that you may have on the floor when you're not at home. Well, that's not the case with this one. Now, you've probably noticed by now that the LiDAR unit is not at the top here anymore. So that has been moved on the back here, but that makes the vacuum slimmer. So now the vacuum can easily go under a lot of furniture. So under the bed, under the sofa, under, I don't know, cart or whatever you may have at home. So the vacuum is now slimmer, but it still has the great navigation that we are used to from previous Narwal vacuums. So if you open the Narwal app, because you do have to use that app, you can actually see the map that the robot made for your house. You can send the robot to a certain area in your house. You can select different actions for different types of flooring. So everything is very customizable from the app. So we know that the robot does great for mopping. How about vacuuming? Well, surprise, surprise, it does great for vacuuming as well. So first things first, this has a suction power of 22,000 pascals, so a lot of suction. So it doesn't really matter what kind of surface the robot goes over, it's gonna be able to pick up anything from the floor. Also, when carpet is detected, the brush cover automatically lowers to create a sealed high-pressure airflow zone, significantly boosting suction and lifting embedded dust and hair for a deeper clean. And just in case you're wondering, as soon as the robot detects carpet, it's also gonna lift up the mop. So basically the mop is not gonna get your carpets wet, just in case you're wondering. And of course, nobody wants to clean hair from the main brush or from the side brushes. With a lot of robot vacuums, you always see a lot of hair stuck on the side brushes here or the main brush. Well, with this one, you don't have to worry. So the side brushes here, the way they are designed, they actually kind of close, so all the hair kind of ends up in the suction hole here. And the main brush here is also designed so it doesn't get any hair on it. So with this vacuum, you're not gonna have to clean hair after the vacuum goes and cleans a bunch of hair on the floor. This is actually how the vacuum looks after it cleaned my house for about 2 weeks. So literally not a single hair anywhere. Another very cool feature that I've only seen for one other vacuum before is the ability of the Narwal Flow to lift itself up so it can go over certain things in your home. So if you have a floor that's higher than the other, for example, like a balcony crossing or a crossing into another room, well, this one is able to lift itself up so it can actually go over those obstacles, let's call them. So very handy if you have a floor in the house that's higher than other floors in the house, because the vacuum will be able to actually go to those areas. Some vacuums cannot do that, and well, they kind of either get stuck there or they cannot go in that room, but that's not the case with this one. And of course, I didn't forget about the all-in-one multifunction base. However, that is a bit too big to have here on my desk next to me, but that also plays a very important role in the whole vacuum experience. So first things first, at the top of the base we have the water tanks. So one for dirty water, one for clean water. Of course, you're gonna have to fill up the one with clean water and empty the one with dirty water. And let me tell you, that dirty water tank is pretty filthy there. I couldn't believe that my floors are that dirty. Just below those, we have a cover, and if you remove that cover, you basically have a large dust bag. So the vacuum will empty everything that it's got inside itself. So this is our dust bin inside the vacuum. We also have the filter here. But basically, when the vacuum gets to the all-in-one station, it will empty everything that it's got in here. So all the dirt will end up in that dust bag inside the base there. And that's large enough that's gonna be able to hold dust and dirt for about 120 days. The all-in-one multifunction base will also identify what kind of dirt there is on the mop, and depending on what kind of dirt there is, we'll use warmer water to wash that mop. So for regular washing, so you just have like dust or whatever, it will use 113 degrees Fahrenheit warm water, but if it senses there is some grease on that, it will increase the temperature of the water to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So much easier to get that mop cleaned with the hotter water. And of course, when the vacuum is done a cleaning cycle, it will wash that mop and it will also dry it. It takes a little while for the mop to dry, but that's also very important so it doesn't smell bad and you don't get bacteria growing in there. So the multifunction base is also a very important part of the whole vacuuming and washing, mopping experience. So to quickly conclude this video, the Narwal Flow brings the best mopping there is available on the market. There isn't anything else that mops better than this. It also brings the best obstacle avoidance. I have to say that Narwhal does do the best obstacle avoidance from all the other robot vacuums that I've tried up until now. And of course, some of the best vacuuming that is available as well. So if you're looking for pretty much the best robot vacuums that vacuums and mops available on the market, well, look no further because the Narwal Flow is the one to get. Once again, thanks Narwal for sponsoring this video. As always, there will be some links in the video's description so you can check out the Narwal Flow as well. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.